Welcome for part 2 of the NAO show breakdown of Rate My Leagues podcast. We got through the first 5, part 1. We're going to knock out the last 5 and find out that Ian still sucks ass. All right. Ian, welcome back. Sorry you're here. Sorry I have to look at you. Sorry to our viewers for having to look at you. But we got Marky Mark, so that makes up for you. How you doing, Marky Mark?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
I'm just doing my best, holding up the show while Mike's away. We all know he's the foundation rock of this show. So
yeah, we miss Mikey.
I honestly can't disagree with you there.
I did petition to wear a tank top this week, but I got shut down by the old guy.
That's Mike's thing. That's Mike's thing.
But
he's got the
tank top.
Sean was wearing one a couple of weeks ago during a pre-show and was like, dude, you got to go put a shirt on.
And I was like, I know, I got to take it off. I know, I don't have copyrights. I get it.
Tank top Mike, the one and only.
Yeah.
There's only one tank top Mike.
Got to respect it.
Yeah. He should be back next week. So we miss him a little bit.
All right, Mark, kick us off. What's the score on the quote? I think it's like 2-1 Ian right now. We didn't get the last.
Yeah, gosh, I lost track. I'm gonna have to go back and listen.
Oh no, because we didn't. Yeah, I think that's right. 2-1.
2-1.
Yeah.
Let's go with it.
All right. All right, let's play a little more Guess the Squad. So the quote for this one is, tight end is a bit of a head scratcher, but otherwise they're in good shape.
Humpty.
Goofy.
Goofy is right.
Yes. Motherfucker.
Let's go.
Yeah. So here's another quote that kind of related to it. It says the QB situation is so ridiculous. You have enough QB quality that you could certainly trade for a tight end. And then one more, my favorite quote when they were talking about Goofy Jace, who they called Goofy Josh and Goofy Yas because they couldn't figure out how to say it. That was pretty funny. So Swamp Dick was clearly testing a new strain when he made the Jalen Hurts trade.
I love that they called him Swamp Dick.
That's the name of his team.
I love it.
I don't know if you remember, but I said, I just made a smart-ass comment. You ought to name your team Swamp Dick pot-growing motherfucker, and that's what he did. He's like, okay, I'll name it that.
And you didn't even have to send him a fourth.
Yeah.
Like the over dicks.
Yeah. So they were
brothers.
The one guy, I can't remember the first guy's name. One guy's name was Derek, but the other guy was like, yeah, I just can't get over this trade. Jalen Hurts for a 5th rounder. Yeah. Start us off being on Goofy Yas's roster there.
Yeah, I think he's made some good moves as far as like what he drafted as well. Like, so he's ranked at 3 for quarterback, which I think is a travesty because he has every quarterback pretty much in the league.
It's a 1 quarterback league. You can only start 1.
They said that too.
Yeah, he's 3 for running back. He is 4 for receiver. And he is 10 for tight end. And I think, again, this kind of goes to like what we touched on in the last episode. So receiver, he has good starters. The only thing I'll say is his depth is a little questionable. So if he loses a guy, then he might be in a little bit of trouble. But it's kind of similar to last season. Maybe outside of the running back, I think he's got a little bit more depth than last season, where he's really relying on staying healthy. If he stays healthy, he's going to be a threat all year, just like last year.
Yeah, that was the thing last year. He did stay healthy.
He did, yeah.
He did not deal with injuries that I can remember.
I don't remember. Did he even have a bye week? I don't think he even had bye weeks.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. He was very fortunate. He had a lot of luck.
If he gets 2 solid injuries this year, he's going to be in complete rebuild. I just foresee him selling everybody, being complete rebuild, and just starting from scratch again. I think he's at that cusp. We haven't seen a team in this, we've only done 1 year of Dynasty, and we're going into our 2nd year, but I don't think we've seen a team get to the point where they make the playoffs like Goofy Jace has. He beat one of our co-hosts pretty handedly in the playoffs by what? Triple digits or double digits?
No, he doubled up his score. I think.
Doubled his score. That's
I think Mark's still applying Vaseline to the wounds, but
bring it up, but Mark.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But I think he's got a pretty good team if he stays healthy. Just like we were saying all last year, I think everybody and their brother, when he put up Dobbins on the trade block, everyone said, all right, where we got to go to get this done? Because Dobbins on the trade block is like a low-hanging steak with mushrooms, you know what I mean? You're like, woo, let's get it. But he didn't pull the trigger, kind of like the whole Tank Top Mike. Tank Top Mike was trying to pull the trigger on a trade with him for like 6 months and didn't get anything done. Surprise, surprise. So, because freaking Goofy Jace likes to drag his heels in the freaking dirt all trade long for anything. It sounds like I'm jaded because I'm a little jaded, just like that much.
Yeah, I think you should change your name to Jade.
Pretty cool name, not gonna lie. But all right, so team score for Goofy Jace was 6.27, which puts him 3rd overall.
It's funny that you bring up the 6 months because we said behind the scenes, Sean, I guess we'll put it out there to everybody, that trading with Goofy is like trying to get the pants off a virgin.
Golly, is it?
Seriously, tell me about it.
And you said the virgin's easier, like right away. The virgin's easier, man.
No doubt. I remember when I was trying to get the Rodgers trade done. I know you like that trade, Sean.
That's a fucking fantastic trade.
And I told him, I said, dude, you've made me wait longer to get you into bed than my wife did. This is ridiculous.
That's not a diss at your wife.
No, it's not. It's not. She was not easy, but Goofy's like, he's wearing a chastity belt with like 3 padlocks and like welded shut. And she's in like a covenant or whatever it's called, convent.
You got to answer like 6 riddles correctly.
What's the password?
Yeah. Yeah, he's tough to trade with, man. I've talked with him a few times too, and I haven't gotten much further than you guys. Well, I've never traded with him, so I haven't gotten any.
I only think it's only been me and Josh, I think, the only two that got a trade done. Maybe one more, but really not. Whereas Evan is the league whore. Obviously, we know that.
Yeah, he makes up for what Goofy doesn't do. So.
That's his sorority sister.
Yeah,
sorority sister for sure.
I think they said he's got one of the older rosters, and just like last season, it was sort of like 1 or 2 injuries, and he's probably in rebuild mode. So being one of the older rosters, I think that's definitely. Now I do like he is good at quarterback, man, and if he does get into a bad situation, he can start trading some of those guys. Yeah. And but an injury or two, and he's definitely scrambling a little bit, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Think if he gets into injury, I think AK is the first one to go.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with him. But
write that down in your little book.
If he goes 2 years, with the injury luck, the lack of injuries, I'm gonna get him to start picking lottery numbers for me, man.
I love. That's a great point. I love Ridley though, as a wide receiver too, with Julio leaving Atlanta and them trying to figure out what Matt Ryan still has left in the tank. Ridley is a fantastic start, by the way.
Yeah. Definitely. He needs a tight end though.
Doesn't he have Gage as well? I feel like he has Gage as well.
Somebody traded for Gage. It was not Goofy.
I might be wrong.
I think the overdog
brothers.
The over-unders got him.
Gross.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next roster. So here's the quote. This is an interesting team to me that has a chance to develop.
That's me.
Got a guess, Ian?
Run it back. I'm going to go with it to the right.
Fuck me.
That is The mighty McJamars.
Ah, we were both wrong.
Can I? And this is official quote. Fuck off.
So they had a lot of fun with my pick 3 of Javante. So they said Javante at 3 ahead of ATN, ahead of Pitts. That's a spicy meatball.
They were scratching their heads on that one.
I like that.
I was too when you picked it, and
I
it was
like that.
it was
You weren't
late.
the only one, Ian.
It was late in the UK when he picked that, and I was like, "Am I dreaming right now? What the heck is going on?"
I'm either going to be a genius or a doofus. There's no two ways about it.
Tank Top, in full honesty, it happened, and me and Tank Top Mike were just like, "What?"
Yeah.
Well, at least they said it's not the first time they've seen it, but they haven't seen it a lot. So I'm either going to be a special part of a small group that was high on Javante and knew he was going to be good,
Or just
or
special.
we're all going to be like,
Special.
or just special. That's good. Yeah. Or just special. Like, why the hell? Dude, I did that in 2 drafts too. ATM went right after me in 2 drafts. So
I would have taken one share in him.
I thought about it. I actually thought about it, but I do love
Back on the
Javante.
show.
So yeah, their other quote was, "That's what's fun about fantasy football. That draft pick, I'm having trouble seeing it. That draft pick will have long-lasting implications." And they talked about how 4 or 5 years down the road, even I could be regretting that pick because Pitts was there, 18 was there. So
yeah.
Take us away, Ian.
Yeah. So you're currently at the moment ranked 5 at quarterback, 6 at running back, 7 at receiver, and then number 2 at tight end. But I think it's a solid group. I do agree with them. I think obviously you showed your teeth last season, made it to the playoffs, went out, bowed out in embarrassing fashion. But at least you made it, unlike the overdogs. But no, I think it's definitely a team that has potential. There's a nice balance of youth and quality there. I think an X factor for you could be George Kittle this season. If he stays healthy, he could be a troublemaker for everybody else in the league.
Yeah, at this point, I drafted him as my 2nd round pick. So at this point, I kind of have to hold on to him if I can't get a king's ransom for him, and he's got to overachieve for me. So
my X factor on the McJammers team is actually Denzel Mims. I think they were right in the fact that what they said, like, you have great upside. Obviously, you can't pick the man, Chase. Who told you to pick him? Yeah, that was me. And Williams was a reach, but I mean, if you're gonna make a reach in the 1st round, I guess he was a pretty good reach to go at because they ain't got a quarterback that throws the ball. Teddy Bridgewater been on 3 teams in the last 3 years. You know what I mean? So he's to be seen. Is the real Teddy Bridgewater gonna show up? You know? So
yeah.
I actually think Mims is going to be a really fun little piece for you going into the season. I know they got my boy and everything, but Mims could be a pretty good. I think he takes over a lot of targets from Crowder.
I don't even think Crowder makes the roster at the end of it. That's my take.
Well, he took the pay cut, right? So he would have been, he would have been gone, but he took the pay cut.
Oh, okay. I missed that. So.
And that, I think that said to him, we're ready to let Elijah Moore be the guy in the slot.
Yeah.
If you want to take a pay cut and stick around, we'll have you here while we develop him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mims is the outside guy. The only thing about Mims is that he's not their guy. They didn't draft him. It was the coaches before him, or the regime before him that drafted him. So we'll just have to see how he develops a rapport with Zach Wilson. But Zach's got that arm, and Mims is he's a go route guy. So
what's your upside downside on Gabriel Davis this year?
I mean he had a good season last year. I think he could build on that. I think Sanders. I don't think Sanders is a relevant but Sanders is older, and if Sanders stays healthy, then I think Davis will kind of have a similar role he did last year.
Yeah.
If Sanders is out, then I think Davis could definitely make a big jump this year.
I think Sanders will do to Davis what he did to like Callaway and Smith at New Orleans, and just sort of like make them relevant in NFL football, but not in fantasy.
Right.
And he's just enough of a nuisance to like negate their upside, where all it does is it improves the upside of the number one in Diggs now, previously Thomas, just because he is a headache. Sanders is still a good receiver.
Oh yeah.
So you have to cover him from a defensive standpoint. So I think Davis is maybe a year away from paying out.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. I think the fact that they brought in Sanders doesn't give me any confidence that Davis is going to be the number 2 there by any means.
Well, Rate My League gave you a overall score of 5.44, 5.3, which puts you at 6th overall.
All righty. Okay, well, let's go on to the next roster then. So the quote for this one was, "They may think they're a win now team, but their roster is not a win now team."
Humpback.
Not quite. Yeah, humpback. You got it.
Take that out, Sean. Take that out.
That's American for go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I felt bad for Humpty a little bit because they didn't realize that he had taken over the squad, and what he did made a lot of sense to us, but didn't make a lot of sense to them. They didn't realize that the Saquon trade wasn't his. That was Josh before he left.
But the Taylor trade was all him.
That was all him.
Apparently, he is very not much of a Colts fan. He hates the Colts.
Yeah, he is.
Well,
or at least
low on the Colts.
Yeah, makes sense.
Situation.
Evan did tell me kind of behind the scenes that if the Saquon trade wasn't made, then Humpty may have hung in with the roster he had and not had the fire sale. So isn't it interesting that a lot of these guys that got players from him in trades buying low, it may not ever happen if it wasn't for that Saquon trade right before he came in to the league.
Do you want to double down on that interest in? Because I worked on JT with Josh for months because I figured he was higher on Saquon because of how much he paid for him.
Yeah.
But he was higher on JT, so I was like, all right, well then let's work a deal for Saquon, and so that happened, and then butterfly effect, I guess.
Yeah. Well, one more quote about him before I turn it over to you, Ian. Talking about running back, it says, "It's fine, it's good, it's not great." It's because they were kind of talking about how that squad traded away Saquon, traded away JT. They get back David Montgomery, they get back Carson. So they're looking at it like, what the hell are you doing? But like I say, we knew more of the story, and it's kind of unfortunate they weren't too nice to Swamp Dick, pot growing mother. But take it away, Ian. Tell us a little more about Humpty here.
Yeah, so rank-wise, he's sitting at 9th for quarterback, which I actually think is a little bit of an insult because I think Stafford's going to be pretty good this year.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's had the most talented position group he's ever had at receiver, and Higbee's no slouch at tight end. So I think that's a bit of a low ball. And then he's right around middle, 5 for running back, 6 for receiver, and then 6 for tight end. And I actually think – I know what they're saying about good, not great with the running backs, but kind of like Goofy, if they can stay healthy, it's a decent crew for this season with Demont, Henry. Obviously, we know what Henry is capable of. D. Montgomery, if he gets all the carries that he deserves, we know what he can do. I mean, I'm repping him right now. And then Carson and Zach Moss just apparently I think it was yesterday or today, they were talking about him being the number 1 in Buffalo. So at least getting goal line looks. So I don't think his running back group is honestly that bad.
If you're looking at him in redraft, you're real happy with that group.
Yeah.
Dynasty, then you gotta dial it down a little bit because of the age of Henry and things like that. But
but I think he kind of answered that. Was it 2 weeks ago when he said he kind of switched from rebuild when he lost out on Pitts? He switched from rebuild to try and win now, or at least piss off somebody. So Hopefully the overdogs. That'll be nice. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. but yeah, I think like you say, it's a good group redraft wise for sure. That 4, you would be okay with that.
Yeah, I agree because I mean Henry's gonna have some fallback in yards. He's not gonna do 2,000 yards again, but shoot, if he does 1,800, 1,700 yards again, he's still freaking badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I think he'll be in the 1,700 range.
Yeah. I think Carson will still kind of have that 1-2 game where he's kind of like hurt, what have you. But I'm interested to see what Corey Davis does in the New York Jets. And obviously Diggs is going to get targets, you know? So,
Yeah. I love his number 1 receiver. Diggs is awesome. So, and I think the Jets are probably the biggest question mark in fantasy football this year. So many changes.
Mm-hmm. So many guys with really good upside that could turn into a lot of good things if coached right. But it's Jets, and we've all been burned by 1 or 2 Jets players in our fantasy lives.
I don't want to jinx him, but I think this is the regime that's going to turn him around because Saleh he's a motivator, and you've got LaFleur there who's a Shanahan protege.
Yeah,
and they're going to bring that Shanahan system to New York, and between Saleh being a motivator and a good system coming in there, I really think this is going to be the time that they finally turn it around.
Yeah. And it's a full reset too. It's not like, a lot of these rebuilds, at least at the NFL level, they have like a lot of pieces from the last regime and they try and like slowly introduce them. Like they have almost nothing left from last year.
Right.
Which is what you kind of want. It's almost like a college, like, LSU, all the seniors gone. Let's start from fresh. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's go from there.
Yeah. What's the scores on Humpty's roster there, Sean?
So the Rate My League gave the Humpty Hump a 4.35, which lands him at number 8 overall there, Commish.
All right. Well, let's move on. The next roster that we're going to try to guess here. The quote is, "This could be a little bit of a surprise team."
That's me.
I think Sean wrote down everybody we had already said, and there's like 2 to go. That's me. I got that one, damn it.
I got that one. Yep. Put it on the fucking board. Point.
So, a couple other quotes. I wrote down. You had the most quotes I wrote down because they were just all so good. So, the next quote for you, Sean, was, "The wide receivers are good. It's the strength of the team." That's good praise from those guys. And then this other guy, I still can't remember his name, but he said, "Derek, my heart, when I see what could have been in this wide receiver group," he said, "I would
have been written. I would have wrote a poem about it."
Yeah, I would have been writing O's. I would have written him a poem.
Well, have you got that on like above your headboard or something, Sean?
Yeah.
First time you've ever got a fantasy football compliment, and it's not even a real one. It's like what could have been.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's like almost.
Yeah. So he was saying if you would have kept Diggs, he would have written you a poem. So, Ian, tell us about your nemesis here. Tell us
tell me what you like about my team there, Ian.
Tell them why they could be a little bit of a surprise.
Dead last in quarterback rank.
Uh-oh.
Get out of here.
Moving on. Anything else? No, nothing else. No, so 10 in quarterback, 7 in running back, which I actually think is a little harsh. 5 in receiver, and then 9 in tight end. And again, we know that's sort of a tough position to be high in anyways. I agree with the guys on the show. I like Sean's receiver crew. It's a good group. He made a lot of moves in that position this offseason, and it's a nice position that he has some depth in. Tight end is a definite hole. But I think Burrow will be fine at quarterback personally. So
yeah, I do too. And I think if OJ can, they picked up his option, and if he can come back and stay healthy, I think it could be finally the year that he overtakes that number 1 spot. So no one's probably drafting OJ high in redraft this year, but I'd be happy if I had him in a dynasty league.
Yeah, did they extend his contract?
They picked up the 5th-year option. So
Yeah, 5th-year.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, first game out, he looked good with Brady, and I mean, no off season. So I mean, he's a great athlete. So I don't see why they would target that position. You got a 26-year-old like real athlete there. So when Gronk does call it a day, they just have to pay him, and they don't have to pay big money because he hasn't performed for big money, but he's a good player.
Yeah,
he'll definitely be a value at whatever they sign him at if they decide to re-sign him at.
Yeah.
I kind of took the quarterback ranking with a grain of salt because it's hard to judge a rookie quarterback that only played half the season. I understand that, but when he was playing, he was putting up numbers that were comparable to Herbert, which was arguably rookie of the year. Well, he was rookie of the year, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
There's another guy that played in Minnesota that could have been.
Whose roster is Herbert on? Oh, that's right.
What I love about Sean is this
important notes. Yeah, I think it was hard for them to rank my team because there's a couple pieces that are coming in that were hurt last year. Mixon, I kind of agreed with him. Like, when is Mixon going to make that top echelon running back tier? Because every year it seems like he's going to be, all right, this is the year. Mixon's going to do it. He gets the targets. He gets the carries. He's just got to stay healthy.
I'm happy to take that question mark off your hands if you want, Sean.
Yeah, eat a dick and die. So moving on, I agree with that. The tight end position in my team is like a giant hole, but I like OJ's upside. Hooper in the last few games in Cleveland was pretty darn good too. So who knows?
What I like, Sean, is that you went out and you overpaid for running backs, and I wouldn't have thought you had any kind of trade capital left to get any receivers, but somehow you ended up getting receivers too. Part of that was the Humpty fire sale. You jumped on that and got Michael Pittman, which I really like. And
Still mad about that.
And then the fact that you drafted Waddle, right? You got Waddle and you got Terrace Marshall. I like both those picks. So yeah, you would think that the focus on running back wouldn't have left you much for receiver, and somehow you kind of snuck in there and got some receivers. So
I actually low key like Nico Collins as well. By the way, I don't like to say that, but I like Nico Collins and actually Aguilar in New England. Yeah, receiver is a strong position for you. I 100% agree.
Keep telling me why you love my team, Ian. I'm just enjoying it.
How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. So what's your scores there, buddy?
All right, so the Rate My League gave me a 4.41 only because my quarterback was crappy, and it put me at 7 overall.
Yeah. All right. Well, anybody want to take a guess at this last roster before we?
Is it running back?
Yeah, there we go. You knew you'd get it.
Good job.
Last one we're going to talk about, running back 2021. So the first quote was, "It's not the strongest running back group, and it's not the weakest we've looked at, but is it strong enough to win a title?" And they actually, the one guy answered, "I don't think so." So sorry about that. So they were kind of on the fence about his running back group. And then the other guy followed up with the quote that's kind of damning. He's like, "There's no chance Devin Singletary is good." So looking at what he's got on the bench, they were like, "I don't even like what he's got on the bench." So, they talked a lot about his running backs, the fact that he's got Chubb and Kareem Hunt starting. One guy was kind of off of it. The other guy was okay with it. So I'm okay with it. What do you think, Ian, when you look at this, his position groups and his roster?
Yeah, so his position rankings, he's 2 for quarterback, 8 for running back, 3 for receiver, and then he is 5 for tight end.
Solid numbers.
Yeah, it's good. And like you say, running back is down there. But and I say this, I obviously have Sermon. If Mostert can stay healthy, Mostert is a absolute animal, and he is a brilliant player. And then really him and Chubb, that is a heck of a 1-2. And then you can play Hunt in the flex, which is where he belongs. Really.
Yeah.
His receivers are disgusting. Like, I mean, that 1-2, and then he has a really solid tight end in Andrews. I like his team. The only thing, the way that it sits right now I'm looking at Sleeper, the only position that I would maybe change is he has Kenyon Drake in his flex, and I would change him out for Brandon Cooks or a Marquise Brown. And then
go ahead and say it, Ian. You know you want to. Go ahead and say it. I'll let you. Go ahead.
He has as good a starting lineup as anybody in the league at that point. Bit like Goofy, though, little thin as far as depth is concerned. So he's going to be relying on staying healthy. But it's a team that's going to cause problems.
Yeah.
It's okay, Ian. All of our viewers know what you really wanted to say about his flex spot.
He really shores it up when he puts in a Cooks or a Marquise Brown. He really shores up that flex position.
We're all about shoring up the flex.
I actually disagreed with them about the Chubb and Hunt start because, I mean, Hunt was a solid start last year. He's freaking RB10 in standards and then RB10 in freaking PPR leagues. Who the heck would not start Hunt?
I think they're just talking about in the running back spot. If you could start him in the flex, then I agree. But like, for example, you know, if Mostert's on a bye, you don't really want to start both running backs from the same team if you can. You know that he's forced to, but I agree. I mean, Hunt's a great player.
Yeah, and they were split. So one guy was okay with it, the other guy wasn't. And the bye thing is kind of a problem. They're both on bye at the same time, so he is going to be a little thin. Right. Yeah. It's one game. But yeah, when you're looking at Kenyon Drake coming up there, then you're like, you know.
Right.
That's where I agree with them on the running back group because me and Run It Back 2021 now, we're talking offline quite extensively about Kenyon Drake's usage this year because, as everyone knows, I have the lead running back in Las Vegas, Josh Jacobs. Lead running back, Ian, 85% or more usage, all right? Drake is going to be a mute point. I think he's the weakest point on the starting lineup right now. So, other than that, I think they did him real dirty on the freaking wide receiver core.
Yeah,
Adams and Hill.
I think they should have touched on that more.
Start a team and you had Adams Hill, you would be like, all right, when am I going to get my championship money?
Well, because low key they could score you 100 points just between the two of them 1 week.
Yeah,
like, that's not even an exaggeration.
No, that's not even an exaggeration at all.
Yeah, so he could be starting Kenyon Drake and Devin Singletary. If those two guys go off, you know,
still win by 10.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Andrews is a good solid tight end. He's not gonna win you any weeks, but he's not gonna lose you any weeks either. So
yeah.
The wasteland of tight end, Andrews is a damn good piece to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's kind of the consensus 4 right now. I think if you look at ADP, I think he's going as the tight end 4.
Yeah, right behind Kittle.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's the top 3 are definitely Kelsey, Waller, Kittle, and then Andrews. So, that's a good guy to have. Good guy to have there. What's the scores there, Sean?
So, RML gave running back a straight 6 that lands him in 4th spot, which we all know last year he made a run for the playoffs and he was a solid threat going into the playoffs, but just couldn't make it all the way through. So if he's there, if he stays healthy and everything plays out in that flex spot, he could be there at the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's a nice roster.
Yeah, it certainly is. finally drop some of those defenses, and
Yeah.
he's going for the position players now. So we
So wait, we need to play how many wide receivers? Oh crap! All right, we're not starting 3 defenses. What kind of league is this?
yeah, in a
He does
2-defense
have
league.
5 tight ends though.
If we
Let's
go
just
to
say
a
that.
yeah, if we, oh yeah, well I do, I think I do
He's-
too.
He's praying for us to switch to an IDP league. That's what
Yeah, there you go, there you go.
Just like Goofy Jace is hoping that we switch to a super flex league.
I
Yeah,
think he's hoping for a super flex.
The
yeah.
super flex. Yeah.
If we go to Superflex, he's got him to start and he's got him to trade. He'll be killing it.
Yeah.
You'll be looking real good.
Come get your quarterbacks. I got your quarterbacks.
Step right up.
Good stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, who would you think? All right, if you could pick one of these rankings, real quick, who do you think is the one person that got hit the most on the rankings? Marky Mark, go.
For the position rankings?
In general, all of them.
Yeah, well, I'd kind of go with Goofy too. You know, having Pat Mahomes, sure, you're number one, but with Goofy's depth and the youth that he's got for Dynasty, I probably would have given him the number one.
Ian, go.
Yeah, for me, it probably is running back at receiver. I think as good as the dog's depth is, I think he has the better group there. At least for the starting group anyway.
I think Tank Top Mike got nailed because of his tight end position and because of his wide receiver core, but they could turn out to be something really good. That's our show. Guess what? Ian, you still suck.